Welcome back to Ralph's Sort of True Stories. We've been talking about doctors and we've been mixing a little sex stories in with that. And I have a story about a fellow that went to the doctor because he was having a problem with premature ejaculation. He's talking to the doctor and he says, I really think you need a psychiatrist more than you need me. The only thing I can suggest is that when you think you're about ready to ejaculate, make a loud noise that'll take your mind off it, it'll startle you, and then you won't ejaculate, and then you can continue on. And the guy thinks about that and says, okay. So he goes out and he buys one of the little starter pistols, track and field that start the race with, and he has that with him, and he goes in and he finds out, geez, his wife's already in bed. So he snuggles up next to his wife, and they manage to wrestle around a little bit and get into a 69 position, and then he's getting ready to ejaculate, so he fires his pistol. Bam! Well, he's back at the doctor a week later, and the doctor said, how'd that work out? And he said, well, it definitely stopped my ejaculation, but my wife ended up shitting on my head, bit off 3 inches of my penis, and my neighbor came out of the closet with his hands up. So I guess the doctor's diagnosis was a good one. There's another fellow who had it wasn't exactly the same problem. He was in an accident, and he ended up losing his penis. The doctor says, we now have prosthetic penises. He said, and I see here you're going to get $9,000 from your insurance for medical. He said, with these prosthetic penises, they cost $1,000 an inch. So you get a 9-inch penis. But if that's like more than what your wife's used to, that might be uncomfortable for her. You might want to go with our 5-inch model. And, I don't know if that's shorter or longer or whatever than what you had, but that's only $5,000. So tell you what, why don't you talk it over with your wife, get back with me tomorrow, and we'll figure out if you want the 9-inch or the 5-inch. So he comes back the next day and the doc says, so what is it? The 9-inch or the 5-inch? $9,000 or $5,000? He said, well, I'm sorry to tell you, neither one. We're getting granite countertops for the kitchen. That guy's got a rough life coming, I'll tell you what. Now, speaking of penises and their lengths, there was this fellow that came to the doctor with a stutter. And he said, doc, he says, I got a problem. I stutter. He's been to voice therapists. I've been to psychiatrists. Can you help me? And he said, well, I'm just a regular general practitioner. I don't know if I can help. I can give you an examination. He said, drop your pants. Well, he drops his pants and this guy's got a 14-inch schlong. And the doctor says, well, I think that might be your problem. I think with all that weight pulling down there, it could be pulling your vocal cords and that's causing you to stutter. He said, so I could perform an operation. I could cut 8 inches off. That'd give you 6 inches, which would be, fairly normal. And maybe that'll solve the problem. He said, okay, my social life's terrible. Do it. So the doctor performs the operation, and the guy comes out of the operation. He says, doc, you're a miracle worker. I don't stutter in the least. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. My social life is going to be so well improved. I can't imagine. Thank you. Well, he goes away. He comes back in 4 months. He said, doc, I want to thank you again. It was a great operation. He said, but my social life really didn't improve that much. In fact, my girlfriend left me. I wonder, could you reverse that operation and change the 6 inches back to 14 inches? And the doc says, forget it. So I guess we know where the 8 inches went. And along those lines, speaking of speech impediments and all, there is this fellow went to one of those nut house in the mall where they sell nothing but nuts. And he walks in and he says, with a little bit of a hair lip, he says, how much are your cashew nuts? And the guy says, $2.29 a pound. He says, oh. He says, how much are your Brazil nuts? And he says, $1.69 a pound. Ah. Well, how much are your Spanish peanuts? He says, $1.29 a pound. He said, oh. He said, well, I guess I can't afford any nuts today, but I'd like to thank you for not laughing at my hair lip. And the guy said, well, that's fine. He says, it's fine. He says, you didn't laugh at my hunchback. He said, oh, is that your back? I thought it was your ass. Your nuts are so high. Along those same lines, there's a guy who was out of work, couldn't get a job, and he went and he wanted a commission-only job as a door-to-door Fuller brush salesman. And so he goes to apply for the job. He said, I need a job. Give me a sample set and I'll go sell brushes. And the sales manager said, well, sir, with your speech impediment, it's going to be very hard for you to sell brushes. He said, well, it's commission only, right? He says, yeah. He says, so if I don't sell anything, it doesn't cost you anything. He says, well, you're right. He said, yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll give you the sample set. He goes out every day, comes back, he hasn't sold anything. And so he gets mad at the sales manager. He says, well, you're the sales manager. Aren't you supposed to teach me how to sell these brushes? And he says, well, with your speech impediment, it's going to be hard. He says, you need to think of a gimmick, some kind of a gimmick. So the guy comes back the next day. He says, all right, today I want a growth of toothbrushes. Nothing but toothbrushes. He says, you want 144 toothbrushes? He said, yeah, that's what I want. 144 toothbrushes. Well, the guy's back by 2 o'clock. He said, I want another 144 toothbrushes. He said, how are you doing that? He said, none of your business. I got a gimmick. Then you told me to get a gimmick. I got a gimmick. So he takes his toothbrushes and the sales manager follows him. And he's set up in New York City by Herald Square out in front of Macy's. And he's got this little TV straight set up. And he's got these little round chocolate balls. And he's got a toothpick in each one of them. And it says, free chocolate. So people walk by and they grab this toothpick and they put it in their mouth and they go, yeah, ooh, that tastes like crap. And the guy says, it is. You want to buy a toothbrush? So that was his gimmick. One last quick story. Movie actors often have to change their names from their original names. And there was this one movie actor that went in, wanted to get an agent, and he said, hi, my name's Penis Van Lesbian. He said, you can't get a job, Penis Van Lesbian. You got to change your name. The Van Lesbian name is a very famous name. It's a family name. We're very proud of it. I really don't want to change. He said, well, I'm not going to represent you. You go think about that. Well, the guy comes back and he says, okay. I'll change my name from Penis Van Lesbian. And he went on to have a very, very famous career. In fact, you've probably heard of him. Very similar to Penis Van Lesbian. That was Dick Van Dyke. Okay, well, thanks for watching Ralph's Sort of True Stories. All these stories are sort of true. And before you go, get down there on the bottom, and there's a thumbs up, and there's a subscribe, and then there's a little bell, and you click on all three of those, and we will let you know when we're ready to post our next videos. Again, thanks a lot for watching. See you next time.